Two names are everywhere in AI right now, LangChain and LangGraph. Same company, almost the same name, and almost nobody can tell you the actual difference. So here it is, in one picture. Think of your AI app as a transit system. LangChain is a single subway line. Your request gets on at one end, rides through each station in order, the prompt, the model, the answer, and gets off at the other end. One direction, clean and fast. LangGraph is the whole network. Junctions, branches, and one move a single line can never make. A train that loops back to where it came from. That loop is the entire reason LangGraph exists. And it is the difference between a script and a real agent. In the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly what each one is. The four pieces every LangGraph agent is built from. We'll build a real one together, and you'll know precisely which to reach for. Let's ride. Start with LangChain, because it came first, and it is still the most used framework in the space, north of 140,000 stars on GitHub. At its heart, LangChain is about composition. Every piece of an AI app, your prompt, the model, a retriever, an output parser, speaks the same interface, so you can snap them together like pipe fittings. In fact, you literally use a pipe symbol, prompt, into model, into parser. Each stage's output flows straight into the next. That is a chain. And it is genuinely great. You get streaming, batching, retries, and hundreds of ready-made integrations, basically for free. If you're building a retrieval app that looks up documents, drops them into a prompt, and returns an answer, this straight line is exactly what you want. Picture that single subway line again. Input rides through the prompt, then the model, then the parser, and arrives at the output. One clean direction, start to finish. Remember that shape? Because in about a minute, it is going to hit a wall. Here's the wall. The official definition of an agent from LangChain's own docs is a model calling tools in a loop until the task is done. Read that again. In a loop. Think about what a real agent actually does. It calls a tool, looks at the result, and decides what to do next. If the answer is weak, it tries again. If it needs more, it searches again. Every one of those behaviors, using a tool, retrying, reflecting, and revising, is a circle. The work comes back around. Now look at our single subway line. It only goes one way. When the train reaches the last station, that is it. There is no track that sends it back to try again. A straight chain physically cannot express. Go back and do that once more. You can bolt a loop on by hand, wrapping it in while loops and custom glue, but it gets brittle fast, and you end up hand threading state and retries and pauses. This is the exact wall LangChain ran into, which is why LangChain itself now tells you, for real agents, use LangGraph. Enter LangGraph. Watch the single line explode into a network. LangGraph's official definition is a low-level orchestration framework and runtime for building stateful, long-running agents. In plain terms, you stop describing a line and start drawing a map. You model your app as a graph, a shared state, nodes that do the work, and edges, the tracks between them. And here is the whole trick. In a graph, an edge is allowed to point backward to an earlier node. That is the loop a chain could never make. On top of that, LangGraph gives your agent a memory that survives crashes and the ability to pause, let a human check its work, and pick up right where it left off. It is younger than LangChain, around 37,000 stars, and it reached version 1.0 in late 2025. So this is production ready today. Everything else in this video is just the four pieces you snap together to build that map. Let's take them one at a time. Piece 1. State. State is a single shared object that rides along with every request, like a ticket that gets stamped at each station. In Python, it is usually a typed dictionary, and it holds whatever your agent needs to remember. The conversation so far, a draft answer, a counter. Now, the clever part. Each field can carry a rule for how new updates get merged in. The most common one is called add messages, And it simply means append, don't overwrite. So when a node produces one new message, it returns just that message. And LangGraph adds it to the running list for you. You never rebuild the whole history by hand. It is a small idea with a huge payoff. Your nodes stay simple because each one only reports what it changed, and the graph handles stitching it all together. That shared, self merging state is what turns a loose pile of functions into something that actually remembers. Pieces 2 and 3. Nodes and edges. Nodes are your stations. A node is just a plain function. It takes the current state, does one job, maybe it calls the model, maybe it runs a tool, and it returns an update to the state. That is the entire contract. Read state, do work, return what changed. And because they are ordinary functions, you can put anything inside them, including the LangChain chains from earlier, which is your first hint that these two tools are partners, not rivals. Edges are the tracks that connect the stations. The simplest kind just says, after this node, always go to that one. You wire your nodes together with edges, mark where the train enters with a special start point and where it exits with an endpoint, and compile it. What you get back is a runnable agent. But so far, every edge is a fixed track. The real magic shows up when an edge gets to make a decision, and that is next. Piece 4, and this is the one that changes everything. Conditional edges. A normal edge always goes to the same place. A conditional edge runs a little function that looks at the current state and picks where to go next. Did the model ask to use a tool? Route to the tool station. Did it produce a final answer? Route to the end. That is branching, a real junction in your network. And now, the move a straight line can never make. After the tool station runs, you add one edge that points backward, straight back to the model. That single connection, tools back to agent, is the entire loop. The model calls a tool, the result flows back, it decides again, and around it goes until it is genuinely done. Watch it on the map. The train pulls into the tool station, then loops right back to where it started, again and again, until the answer is finished. That back edge, that one line of code, is the whole difference between a chain and an agent. Everything else is detail. Quick one. On Facebook, subscribe is the supporter button, and that is what keeps the lights on here. On YouTube, it is free and it tells the algorithm to send you more. Subscribe to support us. Okay, let's go build a real one. Let's build something real. A research agent that checks its own work. Its state carries 4 things: the conversation, the current draft answer, a critique, and a counter for how many tries it's had. The map has 3 stations. First, a researcher node that searches the web and writes a draft. Second, a tool station that actually runs those searches and feeds the results back, looping to the researcher until it has enough. Third, a reviewer node that reads the draft and asks, honestly, is this good? Is it sourced? Is it complete? Then a conditional edge decides. If the reviewer is happy, or we've already tried 3 times, head to the end. Otherwise, loop all the way back to the researcher and try again, with the critique in hand. That retry cap matters. It is what stops the agent spinning forever. Now add one more line, a checkpointer, and something wild happens. If the process crashes halfway through, it resumes exactly where it left off, because the state was saved, not just held in memory. And if you only want the basic version, LangChain's create agent builds this loop for you in a single line. And under the hood, it is running on LangGraph. Once your agent is looping, you'll want to see inside it, and that is the rest of the toolkit. First, LangSmith Studio. Point it at your graph, and it draws your whole map on screen, then lights up each node and every tool call live as the agent runs, so you can literally watch it think and replay any step. Second, LangSmith itself, the tracing and evaluation layer. So in production, you can see every run, catch failures, and measure quality. And third, a managed deployment service to run these agents at scale without babysitting servers. Now, a gotcha that trips people up because the names just changed. What used to be called LangGraph Studio is now LangSmith Studio, and what used to be LangGraph Platform is now LangSmith Deployment, both renamed in late 2025. The open source library is still called LangGraph. So if a tutorial says LangGraph Studio, it is not wrong. It is just using the old name. So, which one do you actually reach for? Use LangChain when your flow is a straight line, retrieval and prompting, a data pipeline, a quick prototype, or when you just want to tap those hundreds of integrations. And if you need a standard agent with nothing custom, LangChain's one-line create agent has you covered. Reach for LangGraph the moment you need a loop, an agent that uses tools and retries, a draft then revise cycle, a human stepping in to approve something, memory that survives a restart, or several agents coordinating at once. The honest headline is that these two are not enemies, they are layers. LangChain composes the pieces. LangGraph orchestrates those pieces into a loop. And the real answer for almost any serious agent is that you use both together. One gives you the parts, the other gives you the control. That is the whole map. LangChain is the line, LangGraph is the network, and the loop is what makes an agent an agent. Now, our team is building out the next wave of these deep dives, and you get to steer it. Comment the topic you want explained next, and the most liked ideas jump straight to the front of the queue. So, tell me what to build. I also packed everything from this video into a free field manual, the 4 primitives, the full agent code, and the exact when to use cheat sheet, all in one PDF. Comment the word cycle, and I'll send it straight to you, or grab it at hyperautomationlabs.co/free/cycle. If you want to go further, the beginner guides linked below will get you shipping fast. And if this finally made LangGraph click, do the free thing back. Subscribe here on YouTube and follow Hyper Automation Labs on Facebook and Instagram, because the next build is already on the way.